It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Wisdom Wednesday with Andrew Brandt back from his Everest climb. And with all the cut downs yesterday, there'll be even more moves today. The perfect guy to talk to about Urban Meyer, Bill Belichick, Cam Newton, lots of other moves. We'll get to Andrew momentarily. Patron shout out of the day, Gregory Bryant. We are racking up the patrons, by the way. Patreon.com/RTmedia. I think people like being able to see all of our even money bets in black and white over there at patreon.com/RTmedia. I'm not even messing around today. I'm keeping you guys on your toes. I'm going right to Andrew. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Andrew, obviously a lot to discuss. Everybody already should be following Andrew on social media. If you're not, you're doing it wrong. At Andrew Brandt. He's also the host of the Business of Sports podcast, which is amazing. To my knowledge, the best of its kind out there, which is why it has such a diehard audience. But before we get into any of that, Andrew, I saw all the pictures. Dude, you're like my life goals. You are, I mean, now I don't want to eat as healthy as you do, but I would love to be able to do some of the stuff you do when I'm in my 60s. It's unbelievable. What was this like? You acted like you were climbing Mount Everest out in Arizona or something. Explain this to me.
Yeah, for people who don't know, also Ross and I were together a couple times this summer, and he looks at me and he says, "Why are you doing this?" Which is the reaction I got from a lot of people. I climbed Mount Everest in Utah, so it's a group called 29029, which is the elevation of Everest, 29,029 feet. Everesting, 29029 Everesting. And you sign up. It's hard to get a spot. It took me 2 years to get a spot. And you have to go up and down a mountain in Utah, Snow Basin Resort, give them a shout out, 13 times to get the quote unquote red hat that means you've climbed Everest. Now, there's 200 like-minded people that get out there and it's mental. Ross, I can tell you this, I've never done anything like it. You know me, I'm an athlete, I'm a triathlete. This was completely different. It's walking. So again, people say, oh, walking. But you have to go up 2,500 feet 13 times. Now you take the gondola down, but the real challenge is getting off that gondola. You got tents on the right, you got lodge, you got food, but no, you got to turn around to the other side and start going up again. And that's okay after 1 or 2 or 3, but you get done with 3 or 4, 6, 8 times, you just want to go to the lodge. And, you know, some people did 4, some people did 6, over half. Like me, I'm proud to say, and I made it. You know, it took me, they had 36 hours. It took me about 30 hours. 30 hours. What a challenge. So 2 things. Number 1, I did chronicle it, not on my Twitter. I know all you follow me on Twitter, but I have an Instagram now. Instagram is Andrew Brandt 2, and I chronicled all that. And then the other thing is I want to pump the podcast. Later this morning, I'm bringing on the head of 29029 Everesting and 2 fellow warriors. We're going to talk about it. And we all have these incredible fond feelings from the weekend. So it's going to be a fun podcast, also deal with some NFL stuff with cuts, but enjoy the podcast this week, all about my experience this week.
All right, so Andrew, did you not sleep for 30 straight hours?
Correct. I didn't sleep since Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
Now, the guys that I'm going to bring on went up straight through. I laid down. I couldn't sleep for a couple hours. I had to. But they tell you, don't get too comfortable. I went into the tent. I have Achilles issues. And the coaches come around and say, hey, don't get comfortable. Don't get up the mountain. Keep going. It was a great experience.
Wow. That is awesome. I can't wait to listen to that podcast, the Business of Sports podcast, which Andrew does every week. A lot to get to, Andrew. Obviously, final cuts for yesterday. Not really that final, though, because there's going to be a lot of waiver claims, a lot of movement today over the next couple of days. That's one thing I think people lose sight of, right, Andrew, is that there will still be a lot of roster tinkering until next Sunday, and really even with the vested veterans after next Sunday.
Yeah, it's tougher this year because you have the week of no games now, and it happens over a longer period. So you can't get comfortable even this weekend. It'll probably go until Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Quick story. A friend, obviously close friend of mine, I'm sure you know him well. I was an agent for Matt Hasselbeck, 6th-round pick out of Boston College, goes to the Packers. We're talking every day of camp. Can he make it? Can he make it? Can he make it? He makes it. 3rd-string quarterback behind Brett and Doug Peterson. And we're celebrating. We're celebrating. Like me and Matt, we go way back. He made the Packers as a 3rd-string quarterback. Okay, day later, Ross, Mike Holmgren sees the Bears release a guy that we also know named Rick Meyer. Mike Holmgren's got a hankering for Rick Meyer, so Matt is cut. And we got him back on practice squad, and then he played for 18 years, as everyone knows. But I experienced that firsthand.
Wow. That, I remember what it was like for me my rookie year when I made it. And Andrew's top 10, maybe even top 5 day in my life. Just an incredible, incredible day. And the coolest part about it is I get the call that I made it. Well, we have practice the next day, but all I had was a bag of clothes, gym bag of clothes for training camp. So I hop in my car to drive back to Pennsylvania from Virginia. And I called my mom, my dad, my high school coach, my college coach, my girlfriend, who's now my wife. Like that drive, that was I think I was floating for that 2.5-hour drive. And thankfully, they didn't cut me the next day and find somebody better.
I was waiting for a bad part to that story. I'm glad it didn't happen.
So a lot to get to. I think one of the biggest news probably, the Patriots cutting Cam Newton. And as I like to do, Andrew, I just want to give you a blank slate. Your reaction, your thoughts on the Patriots cutting Cam Newton to go with Mac Jones.
Yeah, first reaction is I've been telling you for months. I wrote it on Sports Illustrated. I've been tweeting it. I don't get the whole placeholder quarterback thing, and I do put Cam in that position, placeholder quarterback, along with Andy Dalton in Chicago, and of course, what am I missing? Jimmy G in San Francisco. So I don't get it because these guys are going to play. So my reaction was Cam was going to be a backup starting, pick a number, week 4, week 5, week 6. So why wait? I guess the bigger question to me, Ross, and we don't have to go down the vaccination rabbit hole too much, but why is he not a backup? Why is he cut is the question I had. Does he not want to be a backup? Does Bill Belichick think he's not the right prototype for a backup? Because I think he's going to be a backup, whether it's in Dallas or somewhere else, right? So why wouldn't he be a backup? That's really the question that runs around my mind, but I'm not surprised because Mac Jones was going to be the starter sooner than later.
So especially given the fact, Andrew, they gave him a $2 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
He's got $1.5 million of his salary guaranteed. I'm sure they're hoping that he signs somewhere else to offset that. But if you're Cam, Andrew, you're probably just going to get the minimum somewhere else. So why would you even sign somewhere else to be a backup right now? You'd be playing for free.
Yeah.
I mean, he might as well just wait until somebody gets hurt and he has a chance to maybe go somewhere and play.
For those who don't know, what Ross is saying is the guarantee is an offset guarantee. So he's making $1.5 million. If someone signs him for $1 million, that goes off of the Patriots' books. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Dallas cut all their backup quarterbacks, so he could walk in there. But you're right. Maybe he sits around. Or maybe he waits for a contender. Maybe. The problem, Ross, is I don't know about you. I don't see him starting. So if people say, well, he waits around till a starter gets hurt, they'll bring him in. Well, they'll bring him in to start? No, they'll move up the backup, whoever that is. unless he goes somewhere now as a backup and someone gets hurt. So we'll see.
Let's get to the Deshaun Watson. Once again, there are rumors that teams are interested. And once again, Andrew, I personally believe the Texans are going to just hold him all year and keep that asset until next offseason, hoping the legal situation has resolved itself and they can get an adequate return on their asset.
I've said it for months. There's no way he plays in 2021. I'm saying that. I go for precedent as ever. I keep saying Ben Roethlisberger, Ezekiel Elliott, 6-game suspensions, incidents with one woman, no criminal charges. So you tell me how Deshaun Watson plays. I get it. They're civil, but 22 conduct allegations and criminal complaints and a grand jury impanelment. I'm surprised, as you are and everyone listening, that the league hasn't acted, but they have their reasons why they haven't acted. They're not going to share that. But the Texans are not putting him on the field. He doesn't want to be there. And this idea that the Dolphins or someone trades for him, I said this before, like, is the Stephen Ross, forget about dealing with Tua if they do that. They're going to deal with their fan base. Like, you go to your fan base and say, hey, look who we got. Really? Really, a fan base of hopefully half women are trying to appeal to women? Like, come on. I don't know what's going to Miami, but I don't see anyone trading for him. I do, back to Aaron Rodgers, I do see him playing for someone else in 2022.
You know, I think sometimes I wonder when I see this, the Dolphins are the favorites or whatever, I wonder if that's the Texans trying to drum up interest, or I wonder if that's the Dolphins trying to take the temperature of their fan base. Sometimes I just wonder if they want to know what their fan base is really thinking of such a move.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've got the Tua issue too. I mean, they've turned the team over to him. They used number 4, number 5 pick in the draft 1 year ago. Come on, but they know that he's not going to play this year. But maybe they want to get ahead of teams like the Eagles that have 3 number 1s next year. I don't know. It just seems to me to think about trading for Deshaun Watson can't happen.
Andrew, Urban Meyer was asked if vaccination status had anything to do with their roster decisions. He said yes. And now the NFLPA has opened up an investigation because they're not allowed to take that into account. Your thoughts?
He said yes. Bill Belichick today said no. Bill Belichick's translation, I tweeted, is yes. Of course it's a factor. And when I think about Urban Meyer, you've seen through the offseason, he says the quiet part out loud. He's not afraid to hide behind BS. He doesn't play the PR game. You can hate him or love him for that. But, I mean, is anyone listening or watching this with us, Ross, really thinking it's not a factor? Come on. I mean, you take in everything. If it's a tiebreaker, one guy's vaccinated, one guy's not. One guy's going to be away from meetings. One guy's going to be tested all the time. One guy can infect other players. Come on. Of course it is. Now, what is the NFLPA going to do about that? Like, are they going to make the league fine Urban Meyer? Of course it's a factor. Maybe there'll be lawyers, but of course it's a factor. Yes.
Last thing, Seattle. First it was Jamal Adams. He got his deal. Andrew, now it's Quandre Diggs and Dwayne Brown aren't practicing. This Holden thing, it's like they saw it work for Jamal Adams, so it's like, I'll do the same thing. It's like those old commercials. I learned it by watching you. I learned it by watching you, Dad. Like, they got a problem on their hands.
Yeah, they do. And I don't know, my friend, my former colleague, John Schneider's got a problem because it's all communication. I don't know what they were told coming in and what they were told through the offseason about getting a deal done. But in the old days, I would tell agents, hey, just come on in and then we'll talk when you come in. But now the hold in, you're right. It's really a factor. I've said it before. I worry more about hold ins than hold outs if I were a front office exec. I think they hopefully for them do what the Dolphins did with Xavier Howard, which is not throw a lot of huge bonus money, but bump up some incentives, move some guarantees from next year into next year. Like, that's a way to come out of this with little damage if they can. It's one to watch over the next week.
Check him out on social media at Andrew Brandt. Can't wait to listen to the business of sports today. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Ross.
Awesome stuff with Andrew. We got a lot to get to. I will say this. It's 8:45 a.m. We're picking the rest of the Fantasy Feast season-long league contestants today, this afternoon. So this is your last chance to go to fantrax.com/Ross. It's like the last preseason game when you can state your case for whether or not you deserve to get a chance to make the team or the practice squad. That's you guys right now. Fantrax.com/Ross. Fantrax.com/Ross. It's free, and that's how you get a chance to enter to go against me and Joe in the season-long Fantasy Feast draft. I will be going ahead and announcing the 7 remaining contestants this afternoon. So if you want in, it's now or never.
Tuck's Takes.
Hey, Ross, a lot has happened over the last couple of days. A lot more will happen in the next couple of days as well. So let's focus on some of the big things you and Andrew touched on, like the Patriots cutting Cam Newton to go with Mac Jones as their starting quarterback.
I think the thing that surprises me here, number one, I personally thought they would start Cam because I think the Patriots are going to run the football a lot. And I thought they would run Cam a lot, knowing that they really didn't care if he wore down or got beat up or got injured because Mac Jones looked good. I thought they would really utilize Cam's body and running style early as they got wide receiver and some of the other positions settled. That is the bigger surprise to me, I think, than them cutting him. I thought he would start the opener. It is a little curious. They don't even want him as the backup. I think they don't want, Cam has a big presence. And I think that there's concerns in New England about how Cam would handle being a backup. So I think they don't want that presence and that concern about how Cam would handle it hanging over their shoulder or hanging over Mac Jones' shoulder, as the case may be.
Tuck's Takes.
Patriots also put cornerback Stephon Gilmore on PUP, so he's going to miss at least the first 6 games of the season. Same goes for David Bakhtiari in Green Bay and Michael Thomas in New Orleans.
This is significant. I mean, we already knew about Michael Thomas in New Orleans. He's out for a while, so we already knew that. But no Bakhtiari in Green Bay for at least the first 6 games is not great for the Packers. Steve and I talked about that. That news came out while we were doing our season win totals on the Even Money podcast, which, by the way, even if you aren't into betting or gambling at all, and I know a lot of you aren't, we went through and we talked about each team yesterday and whether we think they'll win more or less games than the Vegas lines are. So even if you just want to hear our thoughts on whether your team's going to win more or less than what the consensus seems to be, you should listen or watch yesterday's Even Money podcast. As for Gilmore, I think the one way the Patriots are spinning this is, yeah, we're only giving you $7 million this year, but it's only for 11 or 10 games, as opposed, he wants like $1 million a game. He wants like 17 million or whatever. Well, I think they're going to try to argue, well, you're not playing in the first 6. So we'll give you the 7 million for, the last 11 games or whatever. I think that's what they're trying to do. Or maybe he's just not ready from a health standpoint yet.
Tuck's Takes.
Well, speaking of New Orleans, the Saints are not going to be returning for at least a month to New Orleans. And the location of their opener is right now up in the air.
So, right, a lot to get to here. So first of all, I think Fezzik texted me. Have they said that they're gone for at least 7 weeks now, Brian? Did you see that or no?
I didn't see 7 weeks. I just saw for the first month through September.
And we have no idea where their first game will be, right?
Well, they're practicing at AT&T Stadium in Dallas or in Arlington, but there's a conflict. There's a concert there, not on the first Sunday for week 1 on the 12th, but in that week. So there's a concert that's being set up there. So I don't think they can play at AT&T Stadium. So that's a big question. Where are they going to play? They're working on contingency plans, but nothing has been announced.
And theoretically, they could play from a power standpoint and a fan standpoint in Baton Rouge, but they don't have like that direct communication in New York that they need for replays and stuff, right?
I guess in theory, yes, but I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, LSU's got a game the day before on the 11th, so to be able to turn over that stadium, now you're pulling resources. There's still a lot of people here in Baton Rouge that don't have power, and throughout the state of Louisiana. So I don't know if they would then take a whole bunch of police, emergency people away from what they need to be doing to monitor a football game.
Good point. By the way, Bri, it's been raining here all night, all morning. It's supposed to rain all day. This is like the remnants that we're getting of Ida, and they're calling it 100-year rainfall.
Yeah.
And I'm 42 years old. For the first time in my life, school is canceled around here because of rain. I guess the flooding and the roads are supposed to be that bad that they canceled school today.
Well,
So,
we've canceled school the entire week. We don't go back till next Tuesday.
wow. Interesting. All right. Well, thoughts and prayers to everyone. Everybody out there listening, watching, be safe.
Anything else you wanted to say about this situation, or are you done?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, let's get to some of the other cuts that include Lions wide receiver Rashad Perryman, Dolphins, Matt Skura, Eagles, Travis Fulgham, Titans, cutting their 4th-round pick, Des Fitzpatrick, and the Colts releasing Sean Davis.
Rashad Perryman got $2 million guaranteed. I mean, that is rough to give out $2 million to guys and then cut them. I think John Brown got almost $3.5 million guaranteed and got cut by the Raiders, although I think he requested to be cut. I don't know. And the Lions don't even have any good receivers. It's kind of crazy. Dolphins cutting center Matt Skura. I thought he might start for them, and then that's why they signed him. A long-time starter with the Ravens. His career might be in a bad spot. Eagles cutting Fulgham. Look, I really just don't think he doesn't play special teams. He had been starting, and then he got benched and was moving down the depth chart. Once you start going the wrong way on the depth chart, that becomes tough. The Titans traded 3 picks, Bri. 3 to get Des Fitzpatrick. That is rough. I mean, that is brutal to do that. That's why you don't do that. That's why you don't trade 3 picks to get one specific 4th rounder who might not even pan out. And then the Colts, Sean Davis is their 5th-round pick, the safety from Florida. So on some level, though, I respect teams that aren't afraid to be like, you know what? The guy didn't earn it. He's cut. They don't just keep guys just because they drafted them.
Tuck's Takes.
While we're on the Colts, they placed a number of players on the COVID-19 list earlier this week, including Carson Wentz. And the Niners are going to be without Trey Lance for at least a week after he chipped a bone in his finger.
People in Indianapolis are very frustrated with Carson Wentz right now. And on some level, it's kind of hard to blame them. I mean, this is supposed to be their guy now. They're starting quarterback for years that they went out, they traded for at least 2 second-round picks, maybe more. And he gets hurt, which has been sort of his way. He gets hurt a lot, unfortunately. That's just bad luck. But now, right when he's able to come back and practice, he can't practice because he's a close contact, which he wouldn't be if he was vaccinated, but he's not vaccinated. So he's a close contact. Just a bad look. Really bad look. And it does come across as selfish, which is what they've been writing about him there. I also think, I know there's some people that still wonder if the Niners could cut Jimmy Garoppolo before his salary is guaranteed and go with Trey Lance. I just don't think so, especially Trey Lance with that chipped bone. They're saying it's a week. I think Dr. Chow, our guy, said it'll be longer than a week for Trey Lance. I just don't think the Niners are going to do that. I don't see that happening. I do see happening two things tomorrow. Number one, us giving out winners. Spread the word winner via social media. Just engage in any way with @Ross Tucker NFL or @Ross Tucker Pod on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, especially if you retweet it or quote tweet it. Those make a great deal of a difference. Sponsor confirmation email winner. If you take advantage of any of our sponsors ever, do me a favor, send it to me, ross@rosstucker.com, and then ask me any question you want. I guarantee to read and respond it on the show. And then, of course, we've got the YouTube shout out. That's just if you become a YouTube subscriber, youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL, and then ask me or make any comment. I'll give you a cameo style shout. I get paid for these things like 2 a day, these cameos, videos for you guys. Why not get one for free just by subscribing to youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL and commenting? Speaking of winners, speaking of sponsor confirmation email winners, Brian, let's get to an email.
Ever wanted to ask an NFL player a question? Well, here's your chance. It's time to Ask Ross.
Email address I mentioned earlier, ross@rosstucker.com. What a world. I guarantee to read and respond to your question if you take advantage of any of our sponsors.
Today's question, Ross, this may be a question for Andrew, although your full schedule of topics may prevent time to ask him, so I'll ask you instead. Are player contract incentives modified if playing time is reduced because of team-caused events? Like last year, Tyrod Taylor developed a collapsed lung after an injection into his rib cage, and Raiders' Trent Brown developed an air embolism from a pregame IV infusion. If these players had incentives that were affected because of these situations, is there any recourse for the players? That is from Teresa, who says, P.S. I'm an old lady in Oregon who has been listening to you since your 4-letter network days. You're awesome.
I actually said you are an awesome human being, Ross. Thank you, Teresa. I am pretty awesome, aren't I? I will say this. It cracks me up. Brian, you didn't think that was funny? See, you got to watch the YouTube because Brian gave a little smirk there. He's trying to act like he's not laughing, but he gave a little smirk there. I was obviously joking, but the world's amazing, isn't it? Like a self-entitled old lady in Oregon just told me I'm an awesome human being. What a life. What a world. Thank you, Teresa. You seem like a pretty awesome human being as well. That means a lot when you say that. I just try to have fun in life. Every day I say to my daughters in the morning before they go to school, I give them a big hug. I said, what day is today? They say, it's a great day to have a great day. Yes, it is. Every day is a great day except for Friday. Friday's a Finish Strong Friday. So, Teresa, they could file a grievance. So they could file a grievance against the team if the team did something that cost them money. The team would probably fight it. Because how do you know that they wouldn't have gotten hurt some other way? How do you know that they would have reached their incentives? But that's the answer, is you can file a grievance. The other answer is to become, and I think we're done here, member of patreon.com/RT Media, like Pizza Boy Brewing, delicious, Sporticulture, Vision Comics with an X, HumanHeadNYC.com, and SteakhouseSports.com. Good time of year to sign up for SteakhouseSports.com. Get in on some of their contests. Fantasy Feast later today. Even money, I'm telling you, you should have listened to it yesterday. College Draft, we are giving out winners for college football gambling for those of you that are interested. And then we got the GC, Greg Cosell tomorrow. Much to discuss with him. And then next week, it begins, week 1 of the NFL season. We will be daily for your listening or watching, viewing is probably the better word there, enjoyment. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.